Cassette Beast is a monster taming video game that was released earlier this year. As a fan of the Pokemon series, this immediately caught my eye. And I'm not saying it's gonna be the Pokemon killer or anything like that, but I do think Cassette Beast is better than Pokemon. Although it's better in some ways more than others. But Cassette Beast does a lot with its game that is totally different than Pokemon. So I think it's mostly opinion whether or not you think this is better than Pokemon or even worth your time to play it. Starting with the story, because that's the easiest place to start. You really need to know the story to be able to understand anything else. You start the game just showing up on the island of New Whirl. This is a mysterious island where people just randomly show up from different universes and different points in time. When you show up, you're introduced to Kaylee, who shows you around the area and really explains to you what's going on in the story of this island. She shows you to this hub town area that you keep going back throughout the story. It's where you accept all your side quests and talk to the characters that come from different points in time from all different places, and where you buy items and repair your tapes for free. The classic hub world. Kaylee is also who starts you on your first big quest line. Throughout the game, you have 3 main quest lines that you work toward throughout the length of the entire game, kind of like the gym leaders or the evil team in an actual Pokemon game. In Cassette Beast, you have the Archangels. These are creepy looking, unsettling monsters that are even otherworldly to the place that is otherworldly. Throughout the game, you have to go to different train stations that you uncover from doing puzzles or just stumble upon, and defeat these Archangels, with the end goal of getting off the island and back to your home dimension. Every Archangel is really unique and interesting, and it's like a mini boss battle, where you and your partner work together to take on this one beast with all of your tapes. The next big story path you're actually put on by the next partner you're introduced to, Eugene. In this questline, you have to go around sneaking on top of the roof of buildings, dropping in, and defeating these evil vampire-looking land keepers, which is overall pretty humorous and doesn't really make much sense, but they have a history in Eugene's world, so you slowly learn more about them as you defeat them. And the final main storyline is the Ranger Captains. This is the closest equivalent to gym leaders. Throughout the map, you find 12 different Ranger Captains that you have to face in a normal battle scenario where they and their partner have a team of their tapes and you have a team of your tapes with your partner, and you just have a normal trainer battle, except obviously they're a lot stronger. And the theming of the Ranger Captains teams and strategies in this game is so much better than how they do it in Pokemon. Like Raihan has a weather-based team, but that's really one of the only instances where they have a team that isn't only type-based. While in Cassette Beast, each of the Ranger Captains are not at all based on type. Their teams each have different strategies that work off of a certain move or strategy, which makes them each very extra fun and interesting to face, as well as gives you ideas as a player of what your tapes are capable of and the different strategies you could build and use throughout your adventure. And the final big part of the story is, of course, the partners and the partner quests. Throughout the game, you'll find other characters that each have their own developed personality and little bits of voice acting that will join you in battle. Each partner you find has their own signature tape that they bring along with them, and although you can give them any tape and have them use that, they do get a special boost when they use their own tape, so it's kind of cool to bring on different partners for different battles, knowing what their signature tape is. But the battling section is next, so let's focus on their quests specifically. Every partner, when you first meet them, has some trouble that you have to help them face, usually ending in an Archangel battle. And all throughout their quests, you learn little bits about them, with the final reward of being able to fuse with them and them joining your permanent roster of partners. Every single partner quest was a great story and actually quite fun to work through and unravel with them, as they're all also great characters. I won't spoil any of the specifics here because it's all fun to discover, so just play it for yourself. I'll explain how you can do that at the end. Now, as I just mentioned, battling is next, and this is really the meat of the game that makes it so much better than Pokemon, in my opinion. First off, every battle is a double battle, which is something that Pokemon clones have done before, like Temtem. Every battle is a double battle, I'm pretty sure, but I've played a little bit of Temtem, and I think this far surpasses that. Every battle takes place with you and your partner, each with your own tape, battling against 2 or sometimes 1 wild or trainer monsters. And even though it's a partner, you have control over both people in the battles. In Pokemon, moves work on PP, so you can only use each move a certain amount of times before it runs out of points and you can't use it anymore, which is a fine system, but I think Cassette Beast does it much better. In Cassette Beast, each turn you gain 2 AP. These AP are the costs for the moves that you have. So on turn 1, when you usually have 2 AP, you can only use the more basic moves, and once you use those basic moves, then the next turn you might only have 2 AP again. So you have to plan ahead. If on turn 1 you have 2 AP and you use a 0-cost move, the next turn you will gain another 2 AP and now have 4 AP. So now you can use a stronger move with the trade-off of having a much weaker move on turn 1. This is the main reason why I love this game, and every battle is exciting. Depending on what monster you're facing, or if it's a trainer battle, or if they have more than one tape, you have to decide if it's better to just use a cheaper move, or if you want to use an even cheaper move and wait until next turn to use an even bigger move. And the moves that you can use are much more interesting than the ones in Pokemon. Because every battle is a double battle, there are so many more synergies. There's 3 big mechanics, or one of them is a change, but mostly new mechanics that this game adds that Pokemon just doesn't have, which makes it so much worse. First is the wall mechanic. In this game, you can create walls. Most of them are 2-cost moves that create a wall of your type in front of you, but you can also target your ally and put it in front of them, and you lose 20% of your health. These walls usually last for 3 turns, and they block all damage, which are great for a lot of moves, but things like poison and burning still hit through it, as well as some passive abilities will allow you to bypass the walls, and there are many multi-hit moves that will easily tear down the walls because it only has 3 hits, and so if it hits 4 times, then not only will it break the wall, it'll also hit you once. It's really cool and necessary for a lot of the moves and strategies that exist in this game. And I mentioned passives there. Passives are a stand-in for abilities in this game. Each tape doesn't have its own ability, it just has the capability of holding passive moves. These passive moves are passively active throughout the entire battle, and they function similarly to abilities because a lot of cassettes have signature passive abilities that, from my understanding, no other tapes can have. Another big change that this game has to the Pokemon franchise that I think is easily better is the type matchup system. Instead of one type just doing more or less damage to other types, in Cassette Beast, if one type is good against another type, it doesn't do more damage, it just gives them different effects. For instance, if you use a fire attack on a water type, will gain the steam effect, which gives them extra health every turn, because the fire boiled the water and created a nice mist around them, which of course makes sense because fire type attacks should not be good against water type beasts. But it's also a much cooler and more accurate synergy than we see in Pokemon. Another cool example is if you use a grass type attack, or whatever the equivalent is, on a ground type, or whatever the equivalent is, they will be leeched because the grass type planted his roots into the ground that they're made of and is leeching the energy from them. Because in Pokemon, grass type is good against ground type because of reasons, so it only makes sense that it would be the same here. But they gave it a much cooler way of interaction. You also have things like the glitter type, which is very rare to come by in the game. I don't know if there is a single beast that has the glitter type, but when a glitter type move is used on a beast, that beast changes its typing to glitter, and actually changes its appearance to look like the glitter type. And then the next move to be used on it, it will now accept that type. So if you use an astral move on a glitter type, the glitter type will now become an astral type and look to be that color in places. This also goes back into the type synergy matchups. So if you use a fire attack on an ice type, it will become a water type for 3 turns. Double battles, type matchups, and the AP system are really what makes the battling in this game so much better than we see in Pokemon. But that's again just my opinion. Some people may prefer the Pokemon battle style. There are some things I haven't covered yet that do fall under the battle category, like fusion. Yeah, there's fusion in this game. Just any 2 beasts can fuse, and they have their own new model, which is insane. When your fusion bar fills up, after completing your partner's quest, you 2 will fuse with your current tapes and become one more powerful beast, merging your stats and your movesets and gaining 4 AP per turn instead of 2, which just unlocks so much more potential in these battles. We also have the fact that the beasts that you are battling with are more than just monsters that you have captured. This game is called Cassette Beasts for a reason. In battle, you have the option to record the beast that you are battling. You select a tape from the menu, some have better chances of recording than others, and you attempt to record it. It even displays the percentage chance you have of successfully recording it, which I think is very helpful. Once you record a beast, you can use it in battle by listening to the tape and transforming into that monster, which is pretty cool. And since you're not only playing as the monster, but as yourself, you and your partner have different base stats. Later in the game, you can even customize your own base stats to fit your team or whatever strategy you're using. and each partner has their own base stats to fit their signature tape. Another feature of you being the person that you're battling as is that you have your own health bar in battle. Once your tape takes enough damage, the tape will break and you'll have to select a new tape to transform into from your roster of 6. But any leftover damage after killing your tape goes onto you. So if they're able to take out your tape and do enough damage to fully take out you on the same turn before you get to transform into another tape, you die and you're dead for the rest of the battle. And if the same thing happens to your partner, you lose even if you still have healthy tapes left in your party, which gives you another thing to look at in your battling on your side, but also allows you to end battles a lot sooner. If the person you're facing has 3 tapes, you can whittle them down so that they have just a little bit of health on their tape, and then do a strong move on each of your tapes to take out their tape, do a big chunk of damage to them, and then finish them off with your other attack, which is a strategy, not one that I pull off very often because I am impatient. And since you're transforming into tapes, and tapes are the equivalent for all of the beasts, there is a lot of cassette theming in all of the video game nonsense that we just accept in the Pokemon world. Instead of moves, you have stickers that you stick on your tape, so you're easily able to peel off a sticker and add stickers from your bag to change up the movesets of each of your tapes, which again allows for very easily adapted strategy for different battles, which once again I don't do because I'm lazy, but I think it's cool that it's there. And if you get a move on your tape that you don't think is very fitting for that tape or that you think would work somewhere else, peel it off that tape, stick it onto another tape, and find one from your bag to replace that one for that tape, because you find stickers all around the world and get them from doing chests. You can even buy stickers from shops and stuff. And instead of only having 4 moves on each creature, you have a limited number that goes up each time your tape remasters, which is the equivalent of evolving, which I also think might be a better system. But back to the move slots, when you first record a tape, it may only have 6 or so move slots, but once it's fully remastered, it should have 10. Now back on remastering. As you use a tape in battle, it gains stars. That's how the specific tape levels up. Your level and strength in battle is based on your trainer. You and your partner have separate levels, but they're usually pretty similar, even if you don't think they should, from my experience. So how do they evolve? If you're the one that has the level, and that is the star system. As you battle, each of your cassettes will gain experience as well, and when they fully level up, they gain a star. Each star awards you with a new star on your cassette and a new sticker or move, and possibly a stat increase. I'm not actually sure. Once your cassette reaches 5 stars, you can rest at a fireplace or in the gramophone inn, and it will give you the option to remaster the tape. And a lot of the tapes actually have split remasters, so it'll give you a little prompt to see which you prefer, and then whichever one you click decides which evolution you get. For instance, you have 2 options of starter tapes. You have the sad cow guy that I don't remember their name, and Canned Evil. I chose Canned Evil, obviously, because that's the one I remember. When you get that to 5 stars, you get a choice between 2 options to evolve it, and then you can then evolve it again to get your fully developed starter by getting that one to another 5 stars. They even have a stand-in for shinies in this game. Instead of shinies, because they're cassette tapes, they're called bootlegs. And it's not just appearances. Whenever you find a bootleg, it will show up in the overworld as a different color, and in battle as a different color, because it has a different type. You can catch it, and not only will you now have a different typed version of that beast, whenever it gains a star, the moves it unlocks seemingly are much more likely to be uncommon stickers or rare stickers, which have the same use and ability and power and everything of the normal sticker, except also have a secondary ability that it has. For instance, one of my bootlegs has the sticker Metal Wall, which summons a metal wall, exactly like the actual move Metal Wall, but underneath it in green text it has +1 duration and 50-something% chance to do it twice, or to give it to your ally or something. So whenever I use it, not only does it now have 4 ticks instead of 3, there's also a 50% chance that my ally gets one too. The map is really cool. It's just like the more modern Pokemon games where you have the giant map and you slowly explore into each areas based on your needs, and they're each themed differently and contain different beasts. The main stories will take you there, and the little side quests you gain around town. You have the classic autumn area and graveyard area, the oceans, the snowy mountains, the swamps, the grasslands, the forests, all the normal things, and it all looks really good too. Exploring the overworld and solving puzzles in the overworld are some of the most fun parts of the game, mostly due to these abilities. It's almost a platforming game, because the first ability you get is a glide ability, and to traverse around the map you have to jump over gaps and push blocks to solve puzzles, to unlock different areas and reveal different Archangel stations even. You also can go inside little dungeons for side quests that you have to parkour around to save different people or battle a rogue fusion, which is a thing you can do in the game. You get these abilities by recording different monsters, just like for the glide ability, when right at the start of the story, Kaylee has you record a little owl guy that gives you the ability to glide. There are 5 other abilities you get as you progress, and they're each very fun to mess around with and traverse the lands of New World. Back to the side quest though, around the town you will be able to talk to people to get rumors. They'll have a little question mark or exclamation point over their head, and they'll send you on little side quests, which I of course did because I love this game and they were fun. They send you across the map and give you excuses to catch new beasts or explore new areas that you wouldn't have otherwise, and you get little rewards out of it. Instead of currency in this game, you get plastic, putty, wood, a bunch of other materials that you can use to buy different items in the various shops around the hub area. Like you use metal to buy new tapes, and you use wood to repair your tapes and yourself at campfires with your partners. And now for the final and possibly most important miscellaneous points that didn't really fit anywhere else. The character and monster design and the music. As you would expect in a game that is based around cassette tapes, the music is great in my opinion. It's been playing all throughout this video, so thank you, Cassette Piece. Please don't sue me. And the character and monster design is almost just as good. The monster and character design are of course subjective, but I think most of the monsters look really cool and are very inspired, which you can tell from their little dex entries. When you get a tape to 5 stars, it unlocks a secondary entry that you can see, which goes into the name origin and the inspirations of each creature. I've only done that for a handful of tapes, but from the ones I've read, they're all pretty inspired designs. My favorites are Fountas, Artillerex, and Velocirifle, and Frillypad and Lilligator. But there's so many more designs that I've just adored in this game that I've come across. And the characters are just as good. Each of the ranger captains has their own personality and battle style and strategy, which usually comes across really well in their design. You also always know when you come across a ranger captain in the wild, because their outfits are a lot more developed and unique and interesting than everyone else's, as well as your partners each look different and cool and interesting as well. Overall, this game is fantastic, and in my opinion, better than Pokemon. I loved playing this game, and technically I haven't beat it yet, but it doesn't matter because I'm not spoiling the ending in this video. You need to find that out for yourself and play this game because it's really good. I bought the game on Steam. I think it's like $30, but it's also on Xbox Game Pass now, so if you have that, I'd obviously play it because it's free for you. And then I think you can buy it on Nintendo Switch and Xbox and PlayStation as well, probably all for also $30. But just play the game. It's worth it. Also, in case you're curious, here's my character and my level and my current team, as well as a few other tapes that I've used throughout my playthrough, including my little bootleg shark guy that I got from a random NPC in the hub area. Oh, I also thought I'd mention my little story. The first ever bootleg I found, because I did find one, it was a beast type little seal aquarium guy. I forgot his name, but I only had like 12 tapes and he didn't get caught in any of them, so then I cried